Hey everyone, welcome back to Coffee with Craner. Today I'm here with Lynnette Bain, the Executive Director at the Windsor Essex County Humane Society. And today we're going to be talking about her new role as the Executive Director and what the great work that this local charity does in our community. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Exciting to be here.
So, Lynnette, before I start, where would you say is your favorite place for coffee?
Oh, my favorite place for coffee has to be Cafe Amour in Belle River.
Okay, yeah.
I first discovered it in Windsor on Ottawa Street, but she expanded into Belle River, and it was so wonderful to have a great cup of coffee in a nice place where people gather.
It is. It's a nice, cute little spot, and I believe they have some murals on the building, and it's a nice place.
Yeah, they support a lot of local artists too, and people's work is displayed there, so
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, no, great spot. Now to get into the real questions.
Yeah.
First off, how did you move into this position? Because I know it's quite new for you, right? It's been a few
almost
months.
6 months.
6 months now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about being a fish out of water. It's kind of how I feel. It's not that I was looking for this role necessarily. I saw it advertised. I was approached by a recruiter looking for this position, and I just, something pulled me to it. And then sometimes in life you have these situations where you can't really articulate it, you can't put your finger on it, but something just drew me to this role. I mean, I am an animal lover, but I've never been involved in animal welfare. It's been something, that always pulls at your heartstrings and is important to you, but in an organized way, I really never had. So I thought, why not? If you don't take a risk once in a while, you could miss out on some great opportunities. And the stars aligned for me. And I knew coming into it, there was a lot of challenges, but I also knew that there was a team here that needed somebody to kind of stable and right the ship and hopefully sustain us and lead us into the next 100 years of providing animal welfare in Windsor, Essex.
And for those that don't know, what does the Windsor Essex County Humane Society do? It is a charity. We had talked about that before the interview started. Can you just walk us through the organization?
Sure. Well, the organization was founded in 1926.
Wow.
So, I mean, it is early, although the first organized Humane Society, I believe, was in like the mid-1850s on the East Coast. So we're still pretty early on, one of the founding members of Humane Canada. And so that's been an important part of our community. It's about taking care of our most vulnerable animals in our community and looking to become a more humane society, so advocating for that. And it all kind of revolves around that one health, one welfare theory, that the interconnectedness between animals and humans, it's just, you can't separate the two. So we have to, as an organization, we have to look at not only taking care of those vulnerable animals, but really looking at the people that are part of that equation. And one trend that we're finding in the industry is really becoming more active in the community, providing those services in the community, and that's really part of what we do here on the humane education side, providing spay and neuter, public clinics to control populations, and of course sheltering those animals that are injured or sick, are homeless, and need a helping hand to hopefully find their second chance.
Yes, and now this organization's built a lot of volunteers help make things go smoothly. Am I
true? Yes, truly. And I mean, this is perfect. Right now it's Volunteer Appreciation Week.
Yes. And
we could not do it without our volunteers. I mean, we have such a dedicated staff who are very passionate, who definitely appreciate the support of, I think approximately 150 volunteers that are involved in animal enrichment in our community projects. It's just, on a nice day like this, it's great to see someone out in the dog park, but I see people outside walking dogs in pouring rain, snow, sleet, everything, because it's so important to them to be here for those animals, to make sure they get that enrichment, that time away and outside. It's just, I tip my hat to that team who is able to come here day in and day out and provide those services.
And now, what do the overall operations at the Humane Society look like from a day-to-day basis that the public may not be aware of? Most people, they drive by, oh, I can go in there and I can adopt an animal, right?
Yes.
There's so much more happening behind the scenes.
It's a busy place. And like, this is something I wasn't prepared for. The amount of times the pager is going off, but for animal care to come to the front because there's an animal coming in, and it's just a constant flow. Our intake is about 7,000 animals a year. So you imagine how many per day that can be. We have 3 trucks running on the road that are providing animal control services. So we respond to calls of stray animals, injured animals. So we have a team, our animal protection officers, that are out on the road, and they're working with the public. They're liaising with Animal Welfare Services of Ontario, liaising with Windsor Police, and then bringing the animals back here to be triaged by our medical team. We have a team of vet assistants, vet techs, and of course our veterinary team. We also have our animal care staff who oversee all the animals' care, anything from cleaning to feeding to getting them outside, and really any chance they get, providing some love as well. We have a foster operation where we aim to get our animals into the home setting, because when we're preparing dogs for adoption, having that experience living in a home is always the ideal option for them versus being in a shelter. So that's a very robust department. We have our volunteer department. We have our behavior. That was like the one department that I didn't really think about that existed. And it really is the hub of everything that we do here. And these are professionals that we have on staff who help to develop plans for our animals that are in shelter, like identifying what their needs are, maybe looking for rescue placement if necessary, matching them to foster, and then working with our potential adopters who would maybe need some tips on the dog's behavior, personality, things like that. So that's a very active department. And then, of course, what you talked about, our adoption team. What they are really involved in making sure that our animals are marketed. They look to update profiles, write bios, name the animals, sometimes some really odd names. Yeah. I think we have like federal tax evasion is the name of a cat right now.
Okay.
So I don't know where some of this inspiration comes from. I think it was because the long arms of the cat, or legs of the cat, I'm not sure. But it's pretty comical. But the bios are just so creative.
Yes.
And they care so much. They're so excited when an animal's adopted, taking photos, announcing it over the paging system that a certain animal is going home, and they really get engaged with the public, so that's great. Another important part of our team is our development and outreach team. Obviously, we're a charity, so it's important to us that we can identify who our donors are, have those relationships, identify new ways to generate revenue. It's harder and harder all the time, and we've got a team that is creative. Like right now, today we just launched our Kitty Cash 50/50 lottery.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I like it's creative.
It is, and it's a fun way to connect giving to a chance to win and providing a difference in animal lives. So it's windsorhumane5050.ca, and you can buy tickets. It goes till May 31st. And we have a great sponsor who sponsored a early bird cash prize of $1,000 for Lally Auto Group. And thanks to our donors and sponsors, we're able to offer unique programming, education, and really a roof over the heads of our wonderful animals.
A lot going on.
Yeah, a lot to learn.
How are you finding the first 6 months?
Yeah, it's definitely, like I mentioned, a fish out of water. I came after a period of not really having leadership for a while, and a previous leader with 16 years of legacy at the organization. So, it's really, there was a lot of anxiety and anticipation with me coming in. So that was some waters that I had to wade through, and really spend time getting to know the operation.
Yes.
Really kind of digging down, not being out there in the public as much as I would love to be, but more focusing on learning what happens here every day, making those connections, learning about the people, trying to ease some of that, anxiety about what was going to happen. And that's really what's led me to where I am today. Getting to know everybody, getting to know the processes, the animals, the industry, so important. Building those networks, because without that, it can be lonely. You need to have those connections. And so the first 6 months have really been about the people, the operation, and really finding that hope and being grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here, to lead a fantastic team, to make an impact in our community, and really just to make a difference in the lives, hopefully, of some of our more vulnerable animals.
And for you, you had the opportunity to look at this organization from the outside, not having previously worked here. Where would you like to? It's been 6 months, but where would you like to maybe take the organization moving forward? Or are there some changes you would like to see as executive director?
Yeah, without a doubt, it is bringing our organization more into the community. I really feel that we have the opportunity to become one of the top 5 charities of choice in the community, to represent what's important to the people who live here. And I know without a doubt that we are one of the most giving and compassionate communities that's out there. And I feel like it's because we've had to be. Sometimes we've felt on our own, or we've felt that we've had we had to work harder to get what we have. And I want that same thing for our more vulnerable animals. Like they've got to fight harder. We've got a larger stray cat population than most other cities in our country. We do have some tough socioeconomic conditions. And I don't know if it's going to get any easier. So this community needs support. Everybody should have the chance to have an animal to love.
Yes.
And, we don't want our economics to play a role in determining if someone can have a pet. So I think that really where I want to see us go is to help those people who are less fortunate to be able to keep their pets. And it will help to keep the intake down at the organization as well. Because if you look at the costs to service an animal in the community versus in a shelter, it's more than double. So if we can invest our funds to service our community where they are, we're not only saving money, but we're keeping animals in their homes longer.
Exactly.
And that is the best situation, I think, for everybody all around.
It must be a challenge finding those donors. Every organization, right? They're competing in this area. How do you stand out as a charity to make sure that you're the charity of choice? I would say.
We're really finding out why someone has given in the past, making a connection to that story. Because usually when we do ask, thanks for the donation, why did you donate? It's usually because they adopted an animal here, or they recently lost an animal. And I think once we have that connection with that person and we can relate what we're doing to maybe something they've gone through before, it helps to sustain that donor relationship. Yes. And we all know that it's a lot, I don't want to say easier, but it makes more sense to work with our existing donors than to always be going out to find new ones.
New ones, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, with a new hospital build, there's definitely a lot of attention out there and demand for investments in those operations. So,
yes.
I think by being in the community, by really connecting to the needs of our people as well as the animals, I think that will help us in the long run to connect with donors better.
Yes, no, I agree with you. And now you're a pet owner yourself.
Yes.
Tell us about the pets that you have.
Well, my herd. Well, I have 3 dogs. So I've got a Sadie, who's a Bouvier poodle, and I have Westie Benny, and an American Eskimo Dakota.
Wow.
Yeah, and a cat. An orange cat Pumpkin, so creative name there. We have a number of horses. Right now we have 8 horses in our barn. Wow. And the newest addition to our barn is a pig, a pot-bellied pig. So I was a little hesitant on that when my husband brought her home. And she's just now like the most fun. We really have enjoyed watching her interact with our other animals, and she's got a personality of her own.
Oh my gosh. We're in right now we're taking like a canine course, and they had mentioned that a pot-bellied pig was being trained at the facility. So I'm not sure if you've tried that yet.
No, I haven't. But they are quite smart and very trainable.
Okay.
Like basic commands, they're really good at that, and they can be litter box trained quite easily. Put a harness on them for walks, and they're very food motivated, I will say.
I would assume you live on a concession road.
Yeah, they're in a farm, in a barn.
Yes, yes. It must be difficult working here and seeing the animals and not wanting to take every single one home.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it really
That would
is
be difficult for me.
Yeah, I think my first foster dog that I brought home, I cried for like a week straight when he was adopted. I still think about him all the time because it is so easy to get attached, and you want to bring them all home. And it is a balance, right? You're like, what can I really legitimately
How many
do?
will the city let me have?
Yeah, I think I'm at my
legally?
limit with dogs.
Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4. Yeah, my parents have 3, so no, that's very exciting. And now, prior to the Humane Society, you were working with Tourism Windsor, Essex, Pelee Island. Has there been any things from that role that you've been able to carry over?
Absolutely, and I knew there would be, and it's relationships. Relationships with municipalities, because that's something that was important that we look at strengthening, knowing who the players are, who we need to talk to, and then with potential sponsors. Like we just recently hosted our amazing gala, the Wizard of Paws, and I used some of my relationships pages. With our Wizard of Paws gala, I used some of my relationships with some of our former tourism operators for sponsoring, for providing like a wine sponsor, a drink sponsor, different gifts for our silent auction. That's been really helpful as well. And really understanding like what our community makeup is, knowing our demographics so well. Data was a really big part of what I did at that organization. So I have a really good understanding of our population makeup. And that's helpful when we're looking at programming. We're looking at what each community needs.
Yes, yeah, connections are so important, especially in this role as well. Now, final question for you.
Okay.
How can people support the Windsor Essex County Humane Society?
Okay.
What are some ways we can get involved? Whether it's volunteering, donating.
Yes. So, I mean, well, if you're looking for an animal in your home, adopt, don't shop. That's like our philosophy. So check out and see what we've got available for adoption. It changes. Sometimes they move really fast. Right now, if you want a kitten, it's a good time.
Okay.
But
it's kitten season.
It's kitten season for sure. We just hosted our kitten shower last weekend, and that's when people can get involved. We had volunteers doing baking for us.
Excellent.
For our bake sale. We had volunteers here helping handle the kittens so people could enjoy some cuddles. Our volunteers are also like doing the enrichment with the animals. So we've got 4 volunteers per shift. We have 4 volunteers per shift that are working in both cat enrichment and dog enrichment. So 8 per shift. So it's in the morning and the afternoon. And that is a good way to get involved. We do intake for our volunteers on a quarterly basis. But people can apply anytime on our website under the volunteer section. We always do have jobs posted. We're always looking for vet techs. That's always a need that we have. So becoming involved through working for us is a great way. Monthly donors is a great way to maybe look at donating a small amount per month.
It adds up.
Yeah. So, if you don't have as much coffee out, spare some change.
Yes.
And speaking of change, I almost forgot to mention one of our biggest fundraisers is coming up June 19th to 21st, Strays on Street Corners.
Awesome.
Yes. So we'll be out in forces all through, and you'll be happy to know, Councillor Linden, that we will be at open air. With an activation and collecting donations as well.
Great.
Yeah. So volunteers, we'll have about 200 volunteers out across Windsor and Essex County those 3 days. And we'll have signs and everything about collecting, and we'll be giving out the Wolf Street Journal to those who donate.
I love all the tag-ons.
The animal puns?
The animal puns, yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Our director of development is having some fun thinking of things related to tariffs. So it's more like tariffs. And he has the bad dad jokes, we call them.
What was the cat? Federal tax evasion?
Yeah, federal tax evasion. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Lynnette. Really appreciate it and excited to see you in this role and all the great things Windsor Essex Humane Society does. I'm an animal owner as well, and it's so important that everyone, an animal has a home to go to, off the streets, into homes, and they're taken care of here. So appreciate all you do, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Lyndon. Thanks for having me. And remember to watch for us on the streets, June 19th to 21st, Strays on Street Corners.
See you there. Thanks.